Hi, everyone. I am Bob DeMarzo, the host of the Channel Partners Conference and MSP Summit, which is coming to Las Vegas, March 24th to 27th in Las Vegas. I am here with one of our incredible keynote speakers, Shawnee Delaney, who has captured the minds of our audience and fascinated them with her career journey from, Shawnee, I could say from spy to cybersecurity consultant. Is that a fair way to describe,
Yeah, that's
your
pretty
journey
fair.
and career?
Yep.
Well, first of all, thanks for being the keynoter. I think everyone's looking forward to your keynote at the event. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I guess I've had an unusual trajectory, if you will. I started my career in espionage. I worked for the Defense Intelligence Agency. I conducted clandestine operations all over the world. I loved every second of it. And when I left, I got into private sector and I worked for major Fortune 500 companies, and I ended up standing their insider threat programs. And I realized there was some epiphany moment where I realized, wait a minute. I used to be the threat actor, and everything I used to do to get people to tell me their secrets is what threat actors are doing to these companies. And so that's where I started my journey with Vaillance Group about almost 6 years ago.
It's amazing. Well, I guess you were truly a spy in your work. That's amazing. I think everybody probably wishes, like, hey, I'd like to be a spy. You actually did it in your career. So unbelievable. That's
I
phenomenal.
did it.
So tell us a little bit about the work that you did. I would love to hear what you can tell us in terms of the experience you had as a spy, and then how you apply that to your work today, as you're saying, in terms of turning that around to help protect organizations, large companies, mid-sized companies, and small businesses.
Yeah, so I traveled around the world recruiting various people from different countries to provide sensitive, non-public information. I essentially recruited the vulnerable insiders, right? And then I provided that intelligence to US policymakers who hopefully made better decisions with ground truth information. So it was amazing. I did 4 war zone tours, 2 to Iraq, 2 to Afghanistan. Just some really, really incredible memories.
That's amazing. Some of us work a lifetime and don't have that experience. So first of all, thanks for your service
Thank
to our
you.
country and government. It's amazing. And we're kind of glad to have you on this side these days. So tell us, Shawnee, a little bit about the state of cybersecurity and protecting companies and individuals, right, from attacks and vulnerabilities. Tell us a little bit about your work in that regard and sort of the state of cybersecurity today from as you see
Yeah.
it.
It's challenging, right? The state of protecting businesses today is highly fragmented. The cybersecurity landscape for businesses of all sizes is increasingly complex and challenging, which personally, I think that's fun. But cyber incidents as a whole, they're the top threat for smaller organizations specifically, and nearly half
Yeah.
of cyber breaches impact businesses with fewer than 1,000 employees. So it touches everyone. Now, when you're looking at organizations, there are key challenges, right? There's a lack of qualified IT or security staff, cybersecurity experts. You're constantly playing whack-a-mole and trying to keep up with the new threats. And you're ensuring that employees actually understand and have an education about all of these evolving threats. So what I see is there's a bit of a difference between large and small. With large corporations, they're increasingly investing in robust cybersecurity systems, but they often overlook the human risk element, which remains one of the biggest vulnerabilities. It can be one of your biggest strengths too, if you do it right. And then for small and medium businesses or SMBs, many of them believe that they're too small to be targeted, or their employees are like family and they would never do anything bad. But that false sense of security leaves them really, really exposed, especially since attackers know that SMBs often lack the resources for comprehensive defenses. So the challenge across the board is balancing technical defenses with the human element. And then that's insider threats, right? So whether
Yep.
it's malicious or it's accidental, these pose really significant risks, and many organizations lack the frameworks to prevent or identify or mitigate them. So cybersecurity as a whole, it's not just about firewalls and endpoints, it's about understanding the behavior and the motivations of the people who operate within those systems.
Yeah, I love one. So if you look at our audience of channel partners that, delivers, we'll say, security solutions to all sorts of businesses, public sector, private sector, right, and tries to help those companies either recover or, I would say be progressive about protecting themselves, you've got a great view on what they should be doing in terms of delivering certain, I would say, services or see opportunities in the
Mhm.
market. What's your advice to them in terms of the biggest opportunities in working with businesses and even in the public sector?
Yeah, I think the human risk factor, it opens enormous opportunities for technology service firms. Companies of all sizes are recognizing that cybersecurity isn't just about tech. Like I said, it's about people. I can't say it enough. Service providers can really offer value by helping businesses build holistic insider threat programs, conduct human risk assessments, train employees to recognize and respond to threats like phishing and social engineering and credential theft and people like me, right? And then for SMBs, there's this huge market in offering right-sized solutions. So bundling technology tools with tailored security awareness training that fits their budgets and their needs. For larger businesses, service firms can focus on integrating behavioral analytics, insider threat detection, and policy frameworks that address that human element that I'm talking about. So, by positioning themselves as partners in human risk management, service firms can fill that critical gap that traditional cybersecurity providers really very often miss.
Great. Based on that, Shawnee, I got to ask you, if you were starting from scratch today, right, and said, "Hey, I want to build a cybersecurity consultancy or a practice with inside my IT company or my technology advisors," what would you do? What would you do, and what wouldn't you do as well?
If I were starting a cybersecurity practice today, I would build it around human centric security. So the
Okay.
focus would be on integrating maybe three key pillars. So you've got human risk management, so offering services like insider threat programs, behavioral analytics, and employee lifecycle
Hmm.
management. That's low hanging fruit right there. Then you've
Right.
got tailored education and awareness. And this is like the foundation of the house. So creating programs that go really beyond generic cybersecurity training and phishing tests that everybody does. Everyone's fished out, by the way, to instead incorporate
Yes.
things like gamification and real world scenarios and behavioral psychology to make the lessons stick. So we are now what I like to say is like a Netflix nation, right? People's attention spans, they've dwindled to being shorter than that of a goldfish, which is really depressing. So we need to be
Sad.
creative. Yeah, and we need to think outside the box in order to drive engagement. That should be your goal, that engagement. In fact, there's a statistic I read that I think it was business.com. They found that 31% of business leaders believe that deep fakes have not increased their fraud risk. And that's shocking to me. If you know any of those people, please tell them to call me. And then just
We
in
will.
general, statistically, over 50% of leaders have said that their employees have not had any training on identifying or addressing deepfake attacks. So how are you supposed to defend against these threats that are evolving every single day when your own people don't know what to look for? And
Right.
then the third pillar, if you would be that technical human integration. So partnering with technology providers to incorporate tools like AI-driven anomaly detection, but framing those tools as enablers, not replacements for human decision making. So I think really kind of just to summarize is I think the differentiator would be a focus on preventative measures rather than reactive solutions. So it addresses not just the how of cybersecurity, but the why behind the human vulnerabilities.
It's amazing. And listen, I hope our audience doesn't have the attention span of a goldfish because they're going to have to listen to everything you have to say. Shawnee, our audience is split between techies and really business savvy people, right?
Mm.
When it comes to cybersecurity and security services, what's your advice to them in terms of staying ahead of the trends, understanding the customer, upskilling so that they can be the best they can, right? When it comes to
Mm.
protecting their own business or their customers. Is there something you tell people? Is it, I don't care if you're a geek or you're a business leader, you need to do the following. What would you say to them?
Yeah, well, I'm a geek, so I like those people.
We know.
My, my advice, I think, is probably pretty simple. Don't just sell technology, sell trust and resilience. So if you're looking at the tech savvy audience, focus on integrating technologies, things like behavioral analytics and AI driven monitoring tools. There are some really crazy companies out there with some really incredible tools. So integrate that into your offerings. but really emphasize their role in supporting human decision making. For example, how can these tools identify unusual employee behaviors or flag insider risks in real time, left of boom, as I like to say?
Yep.
And then focusing on the business savvy audience, make the business case for security investments by framing them around risk management and reputation and ROI. Show how protecting human assets, your employees, your clients, your vendors, your partners, directly translates to protecting the bottom line. Ultimately, I think that one of the biggest opportunities in the market today lies in bridging the gap between technology and people. And businesses that combine technical defenses with proactive approaches to managing human risk will really lead the way.
Yeah. What's the one piece of advice you say you give to your customers or prospective customers time and time again that you're almost like, you go, I can't believe I've got to say this yet again. Why don't people get it? But what's that advice that I'm sure it, touches on some of the things you said. We'd love to hear that.
That's easy. I pretty much say to everyone, it can happen to you,
Yep.
period, full stop.
Yeah. And is AI the game changer here? Are companies, your customers, and even you concerned about, I would say, the negative impact that AI is going to have on attacks and, our ability of companies to restore and the frequency of it, and I guess on the other side of it is you can use AI to defend, but is AI the game changer here on both sides of that?
So AI is absolutely a game changer. And there are a ton of pros and a ton of cons, as everyone knows. I think organizations need to understand that it is not going away. And so you need to actually start looking at it as, what are the threats to our organization, to our people, to our business, to the families of our people? Because as an organization, you need to care about that stuff. So educate and look into those tools that can help detect and prevent and mitigate using AI against AI. But also, so you're not just aware of the threats, you need to be aware, like I said, of the advantages. If you can use AI tools to detect, for example, when someone's walking down what's called the critical pathway to conduct a malicious act, when you're starting to see those red flags, oftentimes it's too late, right? If you're relying on internal referrals or people to walk in and say, hey, I think something's wrong with that person, which is very unusual. People don't want to tattle on each other. You're barely scratching the surface. And so using tools like this, you can actually detect someone's change in pattern of behavior before they do the bad thing. It's really incredible technology.
Great. All right, we're going to ask you one last question because I'm sure
Okay.
it's on the mind of our entire audience. When you were a spy and you would go to, cocktail parties or hanging out with friends, and people would ask you, "What do you do, Shawnee?" What would you say?
I'll give you a spy answer. Are you ready?
I am. We
It
are.
depends. It totally depended. It depended on my operation, my mission, the person that I was targeting, the location I was in. I had various aliases and covers and different things. So it just changed. Unfortunately, I was not the cocktail party kind of spy. I was more like in the dirt, carrying a
That's
gun on my hip kind of spy.
that's great. Well, I had a friend of mine who was a spy. I only found out years later it was actually their father. And he would always say, I'm in the insurance business. So we're like, oh, wow, he's a successful insurance salesman. But anyway, Shawnee, thanks. We're really looking forward to your keynote. I think everybody appreciates your insights, your real world takeaway from being a spy and the work that you're doing now. Great advice during this interview. So thanks very much. And we're looking forward to seeing you in March. And we hope that the folks that are listening to this come and join us at the Channel Partners Conference and Expo, March 24th through 27th in Las Vegas. It is the world's largest independent gathering of channel partners that takes any place in the world. As I said, come and join us, meet people like Shawnee, you meet peers that help you grow your business, meet channel leaders and executives. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Thanks all. And thanks, Shawnee.
Thank you.